Recently, I decided to rewatch Your Name and decided that it is time to give it a proper movie review. Ever since I first saw this movie, it instantly became one of my favorites, and I truly believe that it will become a classic. And I'm going to explain a little bit about why I think this film is one of the greatest works of art ever created. So this movie was directed by Makoto Shinkai, and it was released in 2016. Since I saw this, the things that stood out to me the most were the music and the art. This movie is absolutely gorgeous in so many different ways, but it's just a treat to look at. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to explain a little bit about the things that I enjoyed the most about it, and explain mostly why it's so important to me. Your Name is about Mitsuha and Taki, two teenagers who are kind of dissatisfied with their lives, and suddenly one day they wake up in the body of the other person. So Mitsuha wakes up as Taki, who lives in Tokyo and has a group of friends, a job, a lot of stuff going on. And also Taki wakes up in Mitsuha's body, who lives in a small town that it is miles away from Tokyo. And I thought this was a pretty interesting concept. And as I kept watching, I noticed a lot of great things. So this movie has a lot of good humor. It has great moments, great dialogue. Obviously, I watched it in Japanese. I don't know Japanese, but even with subtitles, I loved like the humor, the jokes that were thrown into it. And yeah, so the story is pretty interesting. It has a lot of complexities within it. Has a lot of plot points that you really kind of have to pay attention to. So this was my second time watching it, and even I noticed I noticed a lot of details that I missed my first time watching Your Name. And yeah, the story starts out slow. It starts kind of like a kind of happy, and then some really serious stuff start happening that I'll discuss a little bit later with spoilers. So I can say with certainty that every single frame of this movie is absolutely beautiful to look at. Makoto Shinkai did an excellent job with the direction, the art direction. Everything just blends together in such a beautiful way that it makes the movie in itself a work of art. I think this movie, even if it had no dialogue, even if there were no characters, nothing, I would still love it because every single frame it shows, like, for example, the town where Mitsuha lives. It's absolutely gorgeous, and even especially during like the last 30 minutes of the movie, it just completely captivated me with how beautiful it was. And also to complement with this, the soundtrack, it was completely beautiful. So the soundtrack is composed by Rad Wimps, and I loved it so much that when I first saw it, I started playing the soundtrack over and over during the next couple of weeks after I saw it. And I think it really does a good job of bringing the movie to life. Like those songs are it's so beautiful, and it's such an amazing way that they bring out the emotion in each scene. I think without the soundtrack, the movie wouldn't really be as beautiful as it was. I don't know how it did it, but it hit a part of me that really connects with like my deeper self. And also it gave me nostalgia that I didn't even know it had. Like it made me feel nostalgic for places and moments that I didn't even know were a part of myself. So right now I'm going to go a little bit into spoilers about the movie and about the ending, because I think it's important to talk about the last 30 minutes of the movie. So in the movie, Taki realizes that Mitsuha actually lived 3 years before him and had actually died in an accident where a meteorite hit the town and completely destroyed it. So from this point on, you start realizing like how impactful this movie is, like how great it plays with the magical realism elements and the fantasy elements, and how it all blends together in order to tie together the plot. And in the end, the last 30 minutes are completely gorgeous because then Taki starts like investigating and traveling to the town. And oh yeah, by the way, like during this whole time, the beautiful soundtrack is playing. Like there's beautiful piano in every scene, and just like the second half of the movie is just completely emotional. Like it just glues you to your seat. You don't want to stop watching because of how invested you are in the story. And this is something few movies have made me feel like. Like few movies have actually invested me in the story so much that I just want to keep watching, even if it's like a kind of like a slow movie. But yeah, this movie isn't slow. Like this movie, each scene just keeps on going all the time until the end. And so I gotta say, like the in the ending, everything just gets sorted out, and Mitsuha and Taki meet each other, and oh gosh, that conversation at the end, it was I almost cried because it's so emotional, and you just gotta see this movie. It's just so beautiful. So to wrap things up, I'm gonna give Your Name the final score, and then talk a little bit more about what this movie means to me. So as my final score, I'm gonna give it a 98 out of 100. So I think this movie is it's an absolute work of art, and I really don't watch much anime. I'm not a really big anime person. I wish I could get more into it. I'm looking for more recommendations, and maybe some series to watch, movies. But this was a great introduction, and I think Makoto Shinkai, if the rest of his movies are like this, then I'm for sure going to follow him no matter what project he launches. And yeah, that's kind of most of my thoughts about it. So to recap, I loved the story, the characters, the soundtrack and art, absolutely gorgeous. I would even say like life changing. Like the art in this movie kind of like inspired me into a different level of as an artist. I think this movie really shaped my influences in a big way. So I think, yeah, that's all. So Your Name, great movie. Go watch it if you haven't. And that's all for today. I'll see you next time. Stay on tune for more reviews, and goodbye. See ya.